zookeepers, and welcome to this Planet Zoo gameplay demo. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Bo, I'm lead community manager here at Frontier, and today I'm joined by three lovely ladies on these sofas. We've got community manager Shantae, we've got senior artist Lisa Bowens, and QA tester Sam Marsh. Thank you so much for being here. How are you guys doing?
Doing great, thank you.
How has it been working on this project so far?
Oh, it's been really good. So we've been in development for pretty much 2 years now.
Wow.
And I worked on Planet Coaster before, so coming on Planet Zoo was really just like a bit of sweet homecoming to me.
Yeah.
It's been really good. It's such a fun project to work on. And then this kind of time period is always my favorite because we get to show everyone what we've been doing, what we've been keeping secret for so long. Yeah. And then getting to see, everyone's reactions and the community's reactions to it is really satisfying.
Awesome.
I mean, I know us as community managers have absolutely loved seeing people's reactions to the game so far. But Sam, what are you most looking forward to about people's reactions?
It's been fantastic, but I really think that it's such a special moment when you release that first animal into your zoo and you just feel like, get it out, I want to see it, I want to see it, I want to see what it's doing. And like seeing the incredible detail of the animal, watching it interact with things that you've put down for it, you've crafted for it, it's absolutely, it's amazing to watch, and I love it. And I know it'll be a rite of passage for players, I really do.
Yeah.
It's such a great moment.
Yeah, completely agree. It's such an amazing game to see, and the animals really, they're beautiful. We'll have a look at them closer in a second. You may have seen a couple of snippets already of the gameplay demo because we have been releasing little pieces here and there during E3, but this is going to be the full roundup of that entire demo that we were showing behind closed doors at E3. We've got Sam, who is going to be our tour guide, our driver. She's got a special hat to show. And then Lisa is going to be our narrator on the journey, so let's take it away. So Lisa, what is Planet Zoo?
So Planet Zoo is the next installment in the Planet franchise. It is a fully detailed and deep management sim, and it will have a lot of new gameplay and new management that we've added to this to make it really a fully new experience.
So can you tell us a bit more about the park that we're seeing here?
Yes, so this park, we'll get a better view of it later, has been inspired on the Serengeti and the Ngorongoro crater in Tanzania. As you can see here, everything has been built piece by piece, just like you would in Planet Coaster. So it gives you that same kind of boundless creativity that you had back then, but with lots of new themes and assets. And now we're getting quite a nice view here. You can see we're in a crater, and this specific park is a safari experience. Yeah. So it's got a lot more open expanses than you might traditionally expect from a classical zoo.
So we've got these beautiful reticulated giraffes here. Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit about the authenticity of each animal?
Yeah, so for every animal that we create, we try and be as authentic as possible. We go into all the little details. How does it walk? How does it behave? What does it look like? We try and really replicate the fur. We want to make it feel as lifelike as possible. And, we do that for the big ones as well as we do for the little ones. So here you've got a little springbok. It's quite a lot smaller than the big giraffes are, but it's still got the same amount of detail to it. And if we try and get a close-up on one of our lovely giraffes, then we can see the fur shader that we've been working on, because it's really quite exquisite. Here we go. I think the giraffes are a really good candidate for showing this off because they've got that lovely little mane in the back. They're all fuzzy and cute, and it gives you a really good opportunity to look at the little ear floppity flops that it does. So these will live in social groups. If the animal actually has a need for a social group, they will do that. They will live together, they will breed to create young. We'll be celebrating the full life cycle in Planet Coaster with celebration when there's a birth and mourning when there is a death.
And each animal is unique?
Each animal is unique, so they are genetically determined. They will get genes from their parents. I know that fur, right? So they will look like their parents. So you can see family resemblance. Their patterns will be unique to the giraffes and stuff. So you will definitely be able to see, where their lineage is, where they come from. And that's not just the way they look, that's also how long they will live, how healthy they will be, how well they will breed. All impacts it, so you have to really manage your animal population well.
Wow, yeah, that's incredible. Yeah, and it's lovely to see that you can have mixed habitats as well.
Yeah, well, a lot of animals in the wild would, live together. They have kind of traits that play well with each other.
Right.
And we've got another example of a mixed habitat just across the lake, which will illustrate that as well.
These animals look absolutely outstanding.
They're so good. The character team does such a good job on them. And the animation team as well. It's all just stunning. So in this habitat, we have some zebra and some black wildebeest. And they, in the wild, they will also share because their complementary behaviors help them to detect predators.
Exactly.
So by putting them in the same habitat, we consider both the animal species to be enriched.
Oh, cool.
And these are also herding animals, which means that they will feel the need to form a pack, and often you will see them herding together through the habitat.
Oh, that's amazing.
You just touched on animal enrichment. Can you tell us a bit more about that?
So there's a lot of different ways you can keep your animals happy. This can be, you know, by the basics of food and water, but also by providing them with items that provide enrichment, both in their food, as in, you know, things they like to do, playing, that kind of stuff. So you have to make sure that your animals have a lot of enrichment items to keep them happy and healthy mentally.
It's beautiful. When you select them, you can see there's so many different things for you to keep an eye on, for people to get stuck into.
There are
really
a lot
amazing.
of needs that you will have to tend as a player. There's a lot of really deep management, which I'm really looking forward to everyone exploring.
So as you said before, the terrain affects the animals.
Yes, and a good way to show this is by looking at our saltwater crocodiles. Yeah, so even though these guys don't have any fur on them, obviously, their scales look absolutely
Look at the
amazing.
detail.
It is so
Amazing.
gorgeous. So terrain will impact the happiness of your animals. They will want a certain kind of makeup. They will want, you know, a certain amount of soil, a certain amount of rock. They will want grass or trees, or will not want it, depending on what their natural habitat is like. So your mission as a player is to try and make the habitat you're providing for them here as close to their natural habitat as possible. And here we can see their name's Malati, would like a little bit more soil in their habitat, and we can add that really easily using the terrain tools that we had in Planet Coaster. So here you can see Sam selecting some soil. You're just gonna tweak those settings a bit.
Now, this is one of my favorite bits because it just immediately updates there, and it's so
So you can
well
see,
done.
yeah, by just painting in a bit more soil, the happiness level goes up. And something that was previously in Planet Coaster just aesthetics is now in Planet Zoo actually part of the management. So you making a really pretty looking habitat is not just pretty for you, it's also perfect for the animal. It will be happier if it's got its own flora in there, if it's got the right amount of grass and rock and everything in there. So it adds a lot of meaningfulness to your creativity. And here we've got an African wild dog looking really cute. And that's one of these enrichment items. As you can see, there's a bit of meat attached to it so that they can have that experience of eating in that way, as opposed to just being fed. But of course, they do have to be fed, and all of these needs, and then the habitat needs to be kept clean. And one of the ways you can do this is by hiring some staff. So here Sam's hiring us a keeper. As you can see, the keeper will go between habitats, checking up on how the animals are doing and if they need any food or drink. And then once he determines, oh yeah, these animals look like they're maybe a little bit hungry, he's going to go off into his keeper hut to prepare said food. And this is really exciting. So I'm happy to tell you guys that in Planet Zoo, the interiors of buildings are no longer off limits. So you'll be able to see your keeper at work in his own little habitat. So here you can see he's going to start preparing some food. The food can be updated through research and made perfect for your animal's dietary requirements and needs. That will, of course, make it more expensive as well, which will play into the management side of things. There's been a lot of attention to detail, even in this. A lot of the spotlight is on our animals and how authentic they are, but we also want to make sure that we keep that same amount of attention to detail in these things as well. So here we can see he's done preparing the food. So the food that you prepare will also be done per animal, and you can research more into the animal to make the food more appropriate for their specific dietary requirements and needs. This will also make it more expensive, so that plays into the management again. So here he's just going to quickly fill up that tray of these hungry dogs. There we go.
Feed.
Yeah, and they will come, sometimes they'll see the keeper entering, and they'll just be like, oh, it's food time, and they'll all start running towards the food tray, and that's really fun to see.
But in terms of zookeepers, how do you optimize their schedules and their time in your zoo?
Yes, so you can place down multiple keeper huts, which means that you'll have more bases they can go to, or you can place more habitat gates, but there's a downside to that. So the guests will not want to see the staff facilities.
No, that's interesting.
Yeah, it upsets them. And that means you gotta find out a way to keep them separate. So either you put more scenery in front of it or you use staff paths, which is a new feature that we've added to Planet Zoo. So these paths can only be walked on by the staff. Guests can't walk on it. And that means you can really easily cordon off certain areas of the zoo for staff only. Yes,
that's brilliant. That's so exciting.
So that allows you to maximize your keepers, output while making sure that it's still, behind closed doors like you would in a regular zoo.
Absolutely, absolutely. So we are seeing the Africa theme
African
here.
theme, yes.
Will there be different themes in the future?
There will be different themes. We'll be talking about them at a later date. I can't wait to show you guys the other ones that we've got in store because there's some lovely things in there.
Lovely.
I'm really looking forward to it.
And Planet Zoo is quite big on, we're authentic.
Yeah.
We're not just a management game. We want to be, true to real life zoos as well.
Yeah.
And something that plays a huge role there is conservation and preserving natural habitats of animals, and sort of educating the guests about that.
Yeah.
How does that translate into Planet Zoo?
So Planet Zoo is based off the modern zoo. So as you said, we want to make sure that we educate our guests about the animals that they've come here to see. So nowadays when you go to a zoo, you want to learn more about the animals that you're coming here to see. You want to know about their habitat, you want to know how they're doing. And one of the ways you can educate your guests is by using these Zoopedia screens. So these will be relevant to the animals in the habitat next to it. You place them close to a habitat. You can tell them to display information about one of the animals in the habitat. Amazing. And then this information will get better as you research more into the animal, and thus your guests' education need, which is a new need that they come into the park with, will get filled up.
Of course, rides played such an important aspect in Planet Coaster, but can you tell us about the rides that we're seeing here?
Yes, so this is one of our transport rides, which is a 4x4 off-road vehicle. Just like in Planet Coaster, the track is player defined and you have many options available to you for fine-tuning. You'll be able to change how it looks, you'll be able to change the colors, and you'll be able to set a ride price. So these are really handy if you want to get a really nice, good view of the zoo, and it's also an excellent way to rest tired feet for your guests.
Yeah, again, just to call out the animation team here, the little tiny movements on each animal, they're so authentic and gorgeous. It's really, really well done.
Yeah, everyone's put a lot of hard work and soul into these animals.
Yeah.
These aren't just, some animals that you come here and see. They have a personality, they have things they like to do, things they don't like, and they will respond, appropriately. And that's one of my favorite things when you're testing this game. Sometimes we'll come in here and they'll all be asleep. Sometimes we'll come in here and they're all doing crazy stuff, and you can't anticipate that, just like you would in an actual zoo, and that's one of my favorite things about the game. So these are chimpanzees. They have very extensive social needs, very extensive enrichment needs that you will have to meet as a player, a very challenging animal, and they will also climb. So as a reminder, everything here is built piece by piece. It's just amazing to see all of this that you can build yourself. They can climb on anything that can be deemed climbable.
Wow, okay.
So if you want to go wild and build your own climbing frame, you totally can, and these chimps will love it. Yeah.
And you can use anything from trees, rocks, anything that's a climbable surface.
Yes, your animals will interact with everything that the player, builds and makes. They'll be swimming and walking and climbing player-made environments.
Amazing.
Yeah, which
you
is
have to
one
be
of
careful with those roofs as well.
Yes, yes, good point, Bo. It's so much fun, and it means that, again, your creativity is going to be really meaningful because your climbing frame's not just going to look good, it's actually going to function. And that's, one of my favorite things about this game. I think it has a touch of magic to it. Seeing the chimps just scampering everywhere is so satisfying.
But not just that, it's also an amazing achievement of the team to be able to pull this off. That seems something really special.
We've had coders working on this pretty much non-stop for over a year now. They've put in so much hard work to get all of this up and running. And I think there's, no one else is doing anything like this right now, so it's really special to us.
I know that a lot of people will want to see some of the smaller animals. These animals are absolutely outstanding, they're gorgeous, but we need to see some of the exhibit animals.
I am loving this tour.
Oh, it's amazing.
It's great.
I'm glad you're enjoying it. There we go. So here's an example of an exhibit building. In this specific exhibit that we'll be showing you today, we have the lesser Antillean iguana.
So small.
So you can see him there. We're lucky that they're out and about. Sometimes they like to hide, which you might know from, visiting zoos yourself. Absolutely. These are the animals that usually you have to do a bit of looking for. So just like the other animals, these have things that you need to tweak to make them feel at their happiest. You can change the temperature and the humidity in their exhibits to match what they would usually expect from a habitat, and that will improve their general welfare. They have needs, just like the larger animals, and they are just as important as your large habitat animals, and you have to take care of them the same way, and if you provide for them well, they will also breed. So there's a lot of enrichment levels that you can add to your exhibit, and these will add to their happiness with their habitat. And they will also mean that if you have 2 exhibits with the same animal in them, you can still make them look unique to each other, because you could swap out which enrichment you're using on every single one.
So we've spoken about enrichment items, terrain, anything that can affect your animal's welfare. Is there anything else that we need to know?
Well, we'll have a little glimpse of it here, but obviously animals' welfare depends on their environment most of the time. If it's a hot environment, you'll want to make sure that they're not too warm if they're not used to that, cold, not too cold if they're not used to that, and weather, just like you can see here. We will be going more in depth about weather at a later date, but we just want to give you a little sneaky peeky at what we've got going on here. If you build a shelter, they will shelter under it when it gets wet, or sometimes you can find these chimps sheltering under the bridge, which will also occlude the rain, so they can hide anywhere that the rain can't touch.
Yeah, it's absolutely incredible the amount of detail for each individual animal that has gone into this game, and there's so much for people to explore and manage and creative. Like, there's something for everyone, it seems.
And there's so many things we haven't even touched on. Our biome selections, life cycles in detail. We've only shown you the tip of the iceberg when it comes to our animal list, and I'm really looking forward to talking more about these as we go along.
Thank you so much for joining us on that very wild ride. I think I can speak for the entire team when I say that we are super excited to show you what else we have in store for you. Of course, Planet Zoo is coming out on the 5th of November this year. So fast. And you can already pre-order the game right now. The link will be in the description below. And I just want to say thank you so much as well, Lisa, for narrating this beautiful journey that we had together, Sam for driving us through this amazing park, and Shantae for joining me on the sofa. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll be back very soon. Bye.
Bye.